Good morning and welcome to Mental Health Matters with me, Dr Audrey Tang. This is the show where we break down all things workplace well-being. My co-host is Judith Crosier and we always bring you practitioner-led discussion. And today is no exception. We have got in-house coach and coaching tutor, Nina Hobson. She works at Barefoot Coaching and she is going to be talking to us about her own professional journey as well as development and growth when you are working from home, which is something that she's done regularly, but something a lot of us are just doing now. So let's head over to the main studio. Nina, welcome to Mental Health Matters Office Hours. It's great to have you on the show.
Hi, thank you, Audrey. Really lovely to be here.
Now, you've done something very, very special. A lot of us only just started working from home. It was the pandemic, but you actually just gave it all up, moved abroad, went and did life on your own terms, which is absolutely incredible. Do you mind sharing your professional journey, please?
Sure. Well, thank you, first of all. That was very nice feedback. So I've lived in loads of different countries. My first job abroad was in Belgium and then have moved for all sorts of different reasons. Angola, Syria, Lebanon for a while, Chile, Uruguay. Sometimes for myself, sometimes for my partner's work, and sometimes just life seemed to pan out that way. And I'm currently in the process of moving to Spain. My background was in comms, so communications, and then I think with all these sort of very rich experiences living in so many different places, I became very drawn to the concept of well-being and mental health more and more, and then pivoted, did a master's in psychology. And I'm really happy to speak to you today, Audrey.
No, that is incredible. I mean, we're really privileged to be speaking with you because your experiences, having moved to so many different places, you'll have interacted with so many different people. I'm just, I'm curious myself as to whether those same phenomenons will affect you, but maybe in a slightly different way, because I wanted to ask about burnout and imposter phenomenon. That happens to all of us. That happens to all of us, and certainly in the UK, whether we're in our own workplace, whether we're working from home. But when you are also traveling and meeting different people, immersing yourself in different cultures, how did that impact you?
Yeah, I mean, both in a good and a very difficult way. In terms of burnout, I experienced parental burnout, and I only really recognized that in hindsight. I found it extremely challenging. It was actually parental burnout when I had moved back home, which is fascinating. I'd just given birth to my second child, looking after my first child alongside. My partner away in another country, so dealing with a lot at the same time. Just reading about it, both your book, Audrey, about on well-being, and Claire Pumley, she's done a really lovely book on burnout as well. And I think now looking back, that's exactly what I experienced, this feeling of depersonalization, sort of a bit of an out-of-body experience, if you like. That was really, really tough in terms of burnout. And then your second point on the imposter phenomenon, I think a lot of moving abroad, comparisons come in a lot. So comparing myself to different people, different social groups, different backgrounds, and that's been, has been very hard. But some highs as well. It's not all bad.
No, absolutely. Because there will be so many different things that you'll be immersed in, your children will be immersed in, and that's wonderful. You can't swap those experiences. But yes, I think it is about managing those negatives at the same time.
Yeah, indeed. And talking about both burnout and imposter phenomenon, what do you think people need to know about both of those if they've never experienced them?
I think it can feel very distressing. I think it can feel, completely overwhelming. And I don't mean to diminish that in any way, having been there myself. However, I'd really just underline that they are completely normal, natural experiences. They're not classified as mental disorders. Imposter phenomenon, it's a phenomenon, it's an experience. Yeah. It's not a syndrome, it's not a disorder, and it's very manageable if it's dealt with swiftly and in I suppose, in a responsible manner.
Yeah, absolutely. So why is it referred to as a phenomenon rather than a syndrome?
Yeah, so originally the psychologist who coined the term, they were very, very adamant it is a phenomenon. It's not a syndrome. And just in the popular culture, syndrome took off.
Yes.
I don't really know why. In an interview, Pauline Clance, who originally coined the term phenomenon, she said maybe it's just easier for people to spell.
And say.
Yeah, really interesting. I do wonder if there's an element of over medicalizing a very normal, healthy experience, right? Certainly for me, then I don't think that's very helpful. I think when we refer to a syndrome, we can feel that we're trapped and there's no way out. We have this disorder, and it's not that. It's something very, very normal, natural, and it can go away on its own through time, career experience, support from other people. So yeah, I think it's something that's taken off in the pop culture, if you like, and we just have to be really, really mindful.
That's so interesting that a syndrome will kind of lock it in you forever, whereas a phenomenon, it's something you experience fleetingly maybe, or for a short period of time. That I never thought of it like that.
And it is, and I genuinely do believe there is something in the syndrome's easier to say. Syndrome's easier to spell. It's just more of a soundbite when we talk about media and wanting to pick up on it.
That's true.
We are going to a break in a second, but I'm just going to squeeze this little extra question in. You are a coach and the in-house coaching tutor at Barefoot Coaching. Tell me what you love about both of those, the coaching yourself and then the teaching other coaches, because we've had somebody who coaches and mentors other people before, but I love hearing what coaches get out of that tutoring.
I love the approach, and I think this comes through in the tutoring as well. It's not tutoring in the sense of teaching. We're very much facilitating a group coaching mentality, and that's something that's really strong at Barefoot. And I've only started work recently, and to be honest, it was very surprising to me to be working with an organization where the coaching mindset runs really deep. So it's even ingrained in my contract to, look after my own personal well-being, to take very mindful and very, I think it's something very different. And I'm really, really enjoying that. And the coaching itself, I love working, with so many different people and listening. So listening to people, I think just being there for people and really actively listening to what somebody is saying is really powerful. It's a real privilege.
I love that. And can I be cheeky and ask, is Barefoot Coaching a UK organisation?
It is. It's a UK organisation, but we work with people, clients from, all over the world.
Oh, wow.
That's so important to hear that UK organisations are absolutely ingraining that coaching approach, because I've worked with organisations where their headquarters are in Denmark or in, where it's already within the culture. And what I notice with those and what they've said themselves is they've got it from the top that it's ingrained, but try and feed that down to other countries. It's really hard. And so I think that's so wonderful that we're getting there within the UK.
Fantastic.
That's brilliant. We're keeping you, Nina, and we'll be back just after this.
How to hear your body, how to understand your body. Funny enough, your body speaks before your mind says anything or notices anything. So how about right now you focus on your body? You can close your eyes or you can keep them open and just notice if your jaw is clenched. Because if your jaw is clenched, you might be holding on to stress or tension. Now notice your chest. If you feel tightness in your chest, it might be that you're holding on to anger. How about your stomach? Is your stomach clenched? Sometimes we hold lots of sadness in our bodies, lots of frustration, lots of uncomfortable feelings that we've been suppressing for a long, long time. So how about you give yourself time to listen to your body right now? And then make sure to listen the message that your body is trying to give you.
Our passion for coffee goes way beyond the cup. We believe in a fair production chain in which each coffee farmer plays an essential role. We are proud to support our communities and promote environmental sustainability. Bedford Coffee Roasters guarantees an exceptional experience for producers and consumers. Join us on our journey to extraordinary coffee, where quality, sustainability and fairness come together to create an experience unlike any other. Ground with passion, served with pride, Bedford Coffee Roasters, coffee worth drinking.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters Office Hours. We are here with Nina Hobson. She is the in-house coach and coaching tutor at Barefoot Coaching. She has lived life on her own terms. She has moved abroad. She has travelled around the world, and now is also supporting other people, not only as a coach, but as a coaching tutor and mentor, which is wonderful. Nina, just to come back to your own professional journey, you took that step of moving abroad, not just I'm working from home or I'm leaving the rat race, I'm actually going to do it somewhere else. How did that come about? Was there anything you wish you'd known?
Yeah, I think I sort of left quite on the spur of the moment, if you like, at each time. When after having children, I did put more planning in place. So then there were things I had to be a bit more mindful in terms of healthcare, education, and I felt a much deeper level of responsibility. Hence my most recent move, or I'm in the process of moving to Spain now. So there's some things I would say I struggled with afterwards, sort of feelings of regret and guilt and even shame, if I'm going to be really honest. But then what I found really useful was concentrating on there's no such thing as, feeling sorry or regret because you made the wrong decision. It's more about the processes you had in place. So based on the information I had at that particular time, I did the right thing. And there's no point beating myself up for it. Now moving forward with the information I now have, yes, then obviously I would do things very differently.
But I think you make a really good point that all we can ever do is respond to our environment at the time.
Yeah,
when we make those choices, that's all we have at our disposal. There are times where perhaps we could have researched a bit more or whatever, but on the whole, all we can do is respond to that present moment.
Very true.
So in terms of your own well-being, and you say that you've struggled with feelings of shame, and I think, if you don't mind me just asking a bit further on that, how have things changed for you? How have you been able to overcome some of those feelings? Because shame is one of the hardest emotions to address, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's really personal. So in my case, talking about it really helps. I have a lovely network of friends, both in person and remote. I have a WhatsApp group of really supportive friends, and that was, incredibly helpful. Family as well, very supportive, and just on a practical level, people that could be there for me and help out, in a very practical, hands-on way. That was really helpful. Talking about it, being curious. I enjoy reading, so some particular books I found really helpful, and also novels, escapism. Sometimes ruminating and thinking too much about, the problems, and just sometimes escaping and having some hope for the future is really nice.
Yeah, really
that.
true.
And I love the fact you mention escapism and fiction, because we don't often talk about that. We have very technical, we've got experts like yourself on it, so it's all quite factual and academic, but there is a beauty in escapism. I think that's really important.
That's my escapism, is reading fiction, just disappearing. So I completely understand that. So working abroad is obviously a huge change and a massive step. What are some of the things that you had to learn?
On a very practical level, languages, and then on a bigger level, there would be the cultural norms. I think I've asking for forgiveness a lot of times, getting myself into muddles, and people actually being very, very understanding. I think I've learnt a lot, and not all those things are very quantifiable that, necessarily I can, list them on my CV. They're not necessarily tangible facts. But yeah, I think there's a lot that I'm very proud of. And there are also things that I'm still learning about myself through having, all those very different experiences.
Absolutely. Can I just ask about the languages? Because you said you lived in Belgium, but also in parts of the Middle East.
Yes.
How much of the language did you need to learn to kind of get by?
I managed to struggle by with very basic Arabic. I started learning the local dialect version. I found that really helpful just to be able to connect and have chats with my lovely landlady. I've forgotten it all now, so it was in one ear and out of the other. Now, as I'm moving to Spain, I do speak, basic Spanish. So I was out last night with friends, and being able to, yes, connect with people in Spanish is really helpful. I think previously I'd sort of beat myself up about not having a certain level. So, I can't speak to people, or I don't have professional level, or I don't have that fluency, and really just recognizing, okay, yeah, I don't, but look at what I do have, so recognizing how far I've come already. I think that's really helpful.
I just interrupting there. I just think that is such a beautiful example to give to other people. And it really exemplifies what we do. We go, I can't do it, because what we're actually thinking is, I can't do it to the standard I think I ought to do it, so I'm not going to do it at all.
Exactly.
And what you say is so important, that actually, even if it's basic, you're still
because
getting
it's the
there.
act of trying that matters to the
I
people
love that.
in those other countries. Even if you can just say 2 words, the fact that you've tried, they'll be a lot more open to you then.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I studied French and German at university, and I perhaps feel a bit more pressure to get it right. Whereas I never studied Spanish, and I muddle through, and I make a lot of mistakes, and I really don't care as much.
No.
I really try to instill that with other people I meet, because people sort of hear you as a native English speaker and get, I think, quite nervous, and I really try to dispel that, and I hopefully put people at ease, because I do think a foreign accent is a sign of strength. It really shows somebody's trying. Yes. Somebody's got a really interesting background. They've moved somewhere, and I think I'm very respectful and curious when I hear somebody with an accent now.
You're amazing.
It's fabulous.
You are exactly what you teach people.
Yes.
And I think that is incredible, and it's not easy to see and in people who are coaches and therapists, but you absolutely embody everything you teach, which is just amazing.
I think that's lovely. Thank you
love it.
for the extra question. So talking about escapism, sometimes we do want to escape and think opening a bar on a lovely beach would be amazing. But if we really want to seriously consider a move abroad, what are some of the things that you would say that people would need to think about?
It's really personal, so I would be really cautious now. I think previously I would say, you need to do X, Y, Z, and it really just depends on the person. So I would never say, go for it, or no, don't, be careful. For me personally, I found it useful to do my research, think about the very practical things like, healthcare, very important things like, tax and healthcare and education, particularly when children are involved. But really just to stress, it's so personal. So I would never dream of telling somebody what they should or shouldn't do, because at the end of the day, staying in a country is also a decision. Whether you stay put, that's also a decision that one can make.
That's a really good point.
So true, true. Because and I like that question, because we do often have those conversations. I just want to run away, and we don't necessarily mean it. But for the people who do, sometimes they just do it, and it just works.
They make it work.
Right. It depends on each person and each individual. But yes, there are some key things to consider, like tax and healthcare.
Yes.
Nina, you're staying with us, and we'll be back just after this.
What is your anxiety trying to tell you? There's a reason why you feel anxiety. Your brain is trying to protect you. And to protect you, it makes you feel fear. So you run away from a situation that is uncertain for you, that doesn't feel familiar. Why is that happening? It's because we've got something called amygdala in our brain. The amygdala is part of the brain responsible for fear and stress. And when it's activated, the activation of a fear and fight or flight response is being triggered, and your nervous system goes into react or freeze or flee. And we're in that state where we feel all of those symptoms like increased heart rate, sweating, we feel a bit dizzy, or maybe you're shaking when you're anxious or stressed. That's normal to feel that way. But how to manage it? How to manage the anxiety? The simplest way is box breathing. I usually do that with clients. Box breathing is about inhaling for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, exhale your breath for 5 seconds, and hold it again for 5 seconds. So let's do it together. Inhale for 5. Hold it for 5. Exhale for 5. And hold it for 5. That's it. That's one of the ways that you can manage your anxiety when you're in public place, for example, where you can't just run away. You need to manage it internally. Another thing that I always love to do is tapping. Because I'm an EFT practitioner, I usually practice tapping with clients. But you don't have to know those techniques inside out to be able to manage your anxiety. I'll give you one simple technique. When you have your collarbone, feel free to, whenever you feel anxious, just tap your collarbone, tap your chest, and then kind of, I already did very deep breath in because it forces you to really focus on your body when you're in that anxiety state. And then you can simply breathe deeper, inhale deeper, and focus on what's happening in your body and your mind. And this will calm your body because tapping calms your nervous system. And it makes your brain, and it tells your brain that you're safe and you're okay right now. And you can even say that to yourself. I'm okay, I feel safe. And I'm in the right place, in the right time. And you can give yourself those affirmations when you need to. So this is the most powerful two techniques that I usually use for myself and my clients. So good luck with it and be curious.
Hello, join me, Stacey Bullock, host of Tools for Everyday Living on E360's Positive Vibrations channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on E360 TV.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters Office Hours. We've got Nina Hobson with us, and we are talking amongst many different topics, largely about how we live life on our own terms while still being able to manage those classic areas such as burnout and imposter phenomenon and those feelings that we're just not doing the right thing, when actually we're carving a path for ourselves and there is no right thing. So, Nina, to return to one of the key areas your work focuses on, you speak about real and strategic imposter phenomenon, and that distinction really interests me. What's the difference between real and strategic, and how might both of those present in our behaviour?
Okay, so this was the differentiation between real and strategic was something highlighted in research and it was suggested in research. And the idea is that there are people who feel genuinely fearful of being exposed as a fraud. They're going to find out one day, the intelligent police are going to tap me on the shoulder and say, you know what, you don't belong here, you're not good enough, and that real genuine fear inside. And then there are other people, other situations where one can feel it's more about protecting oneself. So I know I've done okay deep down, but I want to be modest and I want to just protect myself just in case I don't succeed. And it's possible to experience both. Real and strategic in fleeting moments, and they can ebb and flow. So it's not like you're one or the other.
That's really important because, again, this is the importance of self-awareness. Because strategic, it sounds a little bit like playing the game and being a bit manipulative, but it's not. It's strategic which is how we use strategies when it comes to psychology, almost as a self-protection mechanism. So I think we need to reclaim the word strategic and strategy from business. You know, psychologists need to reclaim that word because I think business, it always seems to be a little bit like, well, strategically position this, how I can get one over on the other person. But psychology, we use it all the time. We say, well, as a child, we develop strategies to cope with a parent who behaves in this way or a domineering character in our lives. And I think that's a really interesting distinction because that real imposter phenomenon, it can be debilitating. The strategic one, it's self-protecting, but it's easier to work with, I think. It's closer to the surface, I guess, to work with. So when it comes to experiencing imposter phenomenon, do you think it is a case of working through it, or is it actually sometimes we're just in a role that doesn't suit us, we're really struggling, we're holding on by our fingertips, and actually feeling like an imposter isn't inauthentic? We really are. We really not shouldn't be there, but we'd be happier somewhere else.
I think both might be true. Perhaps I think we're becoming more aware of systematics. So in our society, cultural references and, you know, the culture of our workplace, I think that has a huge impact. I mean, there are some researchers who actually disregard the term. They don't like the term IP and deny its existence. And then I think it's really interesting. So Professor Cockley, he's done some really interesting work. He's an expert on racialized imposter phenomenon and coined that term racialized imposter phenomenon to account for the fact that, people of different races can feel like a real imposter, and they can also feel prejudiced, excluded, you know, based on the color of their skin. So it's not to say that you can only feel like an imposter if you're one type of person. And culture, our society plays a huge role in that. I wouldn't say necessarily that, you know, it's all down to society or it's all down to us, but I think it's really interesting just to notice and be curious about, you know, both what we're experiencing internally and what might be going on in our environment as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I was wondering, is imposter phenomenon something that you might still occasionally feel? And if so, how do you manage it?
Yeah, absolutely. I do. Fleeting moments. I think it's, as I kept saying, it's a very normal, natural experience. I mean, the research shows that, yes, it's very healthy, typically dissipates after around 6 months, perhaps in a new job task, faced in a new environment. It's very common, and that can just dissipate away. So sometimes it just goes away on its own. If I do experience those fleeting moments, for me, it's really helpful just to notice, you know, be curious. I had one client who I really liked. He considered it as a little devil cartoon character that he would just sort of swat away. And I think that lightness as well is a really, really nice way to approach it. And talking about it as well. So talking about it when we feel safe, you know, so peer networks, support groups, that can be really helpful. So professional groups, for example, talking about our experiences, sharing our experiences, I find that can be really helpful too.
You find out how many other people feel the same thing. Yeah. So obviously you've just mentioned a couple. If it's something that we start to notice in ourselves, what else might we do?
If it's something, you know, that's really becoming a concern, I think, you know, again, to stress that IP, imposter phenomenon, it's a very, you know, natural experience. I just can't say this enough, and it's not a disorder. Talking about it can be really helpful. You get this sort of double whammy effect, particularly if you're in a leadership position, because you're not only validating your own experiences, you're also helping validate those experiences of other people as well. So I find, yes, talking about it can be really, really helpful. Noticing, being curious, holding it lightly, not taking things too seriously. And I think as well, just committing, taking some action. So not overdoing it, ruminating, making it become a bigger problem than it really is. Experimenting with risk, baby steps, small steps of discomfort, not pain, and rewarding those experiments. I think that can be really helpful.
Brilliant.
Love it.
Yeah, great. And so thank you for that. Where can we learn more about you?
Well, interestingly, I quit all social media to protect my own well-being. I am on LinkedIn, so you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm working now at Barefoot Coaching, but yes, just to protect my own well-being, I really, cut back from social media, and I found that brilliant. So you're welcome to connect on LinkedIn. I work at Barefoot Coaching, but yes, I'm no longer on social media. I'm very happy to say.
Do you have a website?
If you look at Barefoot Coaching, you're welcome to go there. I was running my own independent practice before, but now I'm working in-house as a coach and as a coaching tutor.
Okay. Oh, brilliant. Thank
Brilliant.
you.
We'll put those links in the show notes. Nina, thank you. And thank you for being just such a beacon of being everything that coaches hope to teach. It's just incredible. It's been lovely speaking with you.
Yes, it really has.
Do join us on the show again, perhaps after you've moved to Spain. We'd love to hear your experiences.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Well, let's head over to Business Boost. I wanted to talk about something our guest Nina Hobson has talked about, and this is about pushing your comfort zone. When it comes to our sense of feeling comfortable in our own environment, whether personal or professional, coaches like to look at it as having three zones. We have the comfort zone first. This is the zone we spend most of our time in. Why? Because it's comfortable. This is what we know, this is what we enjoy, and even the challenges are what we can cope with. So that's the first zone. Beyond that is something called the stretch zone. And this is where we can reach out of it like a stretch. Think about a stretch in a dance class or in an aerobics class. Makes us a tiny bit uncomfortable, but then we can kind of relax back into the comfort zone. And then the third zone after the stretch zone is the panic zone. And the panic zone is when we've overreached and we've pulled a muscle and it's not nice and it's not pleasant. And it sends us almost straight back to the comfort zone and a bit too scared to reach out again. So where Nina was talking about the importance of pushing ourselves, this is what I would encourage or challenge you to do every single day. We know what our comfort zone is, but try and do something every single day that pushes you into the stretch zone. Because in the same way as when you're stretching muscles, if you continually practice that stretch, not going into the panic, not going too far, but just that little bit of the stretch, you will find your comfort zone expands, which means your original panic zone has become your new stretch zone. So push yourself every day doing something little and watch your comfort zone grow.
Today, you're going to learn how to calm your anxiety in very simple steps and how to ground yourself in order to feel those emotions, but also snap out of it, because I know it's quite hard to snap out of that anxiety when you're into it. Anxiety is focusing you and it's pushing you to think in the future. So what we need to do is put you in now, to make you present right now in order to release that anxiety. So what you're going to do is you're going to find 5 things that you can see around you. You're going to snap out of the anxiety, look around and find 5 things that you can see. Then you can find 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can touch physically. Go around the room, you can touch some things. 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And when you do all of that, you will feel like you're grounded and you're here right now. So how about you try it? Every time you feel triggered, or even right now, if you feel like you need that grounding energy, make sure to do all of those 5 steps and snap out of the anxiety.
Navigating today's workplace is tough.
Toxic employees, endless drama, a lack of motivation. We've all been there.
But fear not, we are here to help. My name is Leanne and I'm a chartered psychologist.
My name is Al and I'm a business owner. And together we dig into the scientific and commercial secrets behind great workplace cultures in truth, lies and work.
A no-nonsense, award-winning psychology podcast brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. We explore practical strategies for building a great workplace.
We debunk buzzwords and bring you the very best advice around finding and keeping great people. From personality tests.
Personality tests they're mostly bollocks. I don't know what kind of language you do on your podcast. I don't know if people know this, but the man who wrote the Wonder Woman comics is the person who invented the disc.
When more flexible working became a norm, you no longer hurt your career prospects by being the one person who worked flexibly.
All the way to avoiding high turnover.
We recruit and promote people to managerial roles based on their technical skills, not their people skills. This is a very fundamental problem we have, which we haven't directly tackled.
From toxic-free cultures,
interventions for the individual are only half the answer. Systemic change is the other half.
to sustainable growth.
Thinking beyond just paying somebody a good salary, I think is super necessary now. We have to offer so much more than that.
We have got you covered.
So join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we help you to simplify the science of work and build amazing workplace cultures.
Hi there, I'm Dawn Livingston, your host on the Transcend and Succeed show. Join me Fridays at 2 p.m. Central for limitless inspiration and ways to help you transcend your limitations. Tune into the Achieve TV network and the Voyage to Vitality channel. Transcend and Succeed show, right here on E360 TV.
Welcome back to the last part of the show. What a great chat.
It was Nina was lovely. The chat was lovely. It was really, really great and really interesting. And just it's funny, isn't it, how other people live. You know, she's travelled around all of those countries and the role that she does. What a great life.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, there will be ups and downs.
Yes.
And I think being honest about it, being curious, that's a key word that she's used.
Yes.
Being self-aware. And I think those things are part of being a good role model and being a good coach as much as anything else.
Exactly. I mean, Nina will have experienced so much that where she's coaching, that a lot of, or probably most of what she talks about comes from a place of experience. So which is really great.
So this is the time where we reflect on the key points of today. And usually we will pick up some of the academic points. I want to just go back to something that she said, which isn't necessarily an academic point, but probably a way that academics, we can all do better. Because when Nina says, well, the stuff isn't quantifiable, why isn't it? That's important. That's probably more important. Her experiences, just in terms of having to do the practicalities, what she says about language, what she says about the soft skills she's learned by having all of those experiences, that is invaluable.
Well, exactly.
You know?
And you say, as you say, you know, it's not always quantifiable, but it should be. I mean, just living in another country with people that don't speak English all around you and you having to go and buy milk, you know, that's a huge amount of skills just right there.
Yes. And what she also said about having studied German in school and then getting to the practicalities of it. She's not going to discuss German history.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's where I think school limits our potential in some ways. The irony of it is we're there to pick up knowledge, but knowledge is taught in such a way that we're afraid to experiment. We're afraid to get it wrong. We're afraid to push our own comfort zone somewhere else. And maybe we need to rethink that when it comes to teaching.
Well, I mean, you and I both...
Teachers.
Yes, and we probably both thought quite a number of times that they really should teach this in schools or they really shouldn't teach that in schools. But yes, but talking about the way that we teach languages is very different to how the way that the rest of Europe teach languages. You know, the rest of Europe, you've got teenagers that can speak English fluently. Well, you know, we know how to say, well, the pen of my aunt in French. And something that no one ever uses.
Yeah.
But every school child at the age of 11 or 12 learns it. It's just mad. So yeah, I'm not surprised that a very run-of-the-mill, everyday word went out of her head. Because she probably knew how to, like you say,
discuss German history.
Yeah,
you know, it's
German history or German business or something.
It's so true, because now I think back to my French lessons in school. It's when I'm really not going to have much of a conversation about the cat sitting on the table.
Exactly. I know. Yes. And that's the kind of thing that we learn, and we don't learn just to converse and just to speak and just to chat. That's what we don't learn in British schools about learning languages. So yeah, I think that needs to change.
So in terms of some top tips, what have you taken away from Nina? There's so much. She's great.
Yeah, and I was thinking about imposter phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I know that when I first became a teacher, I absolutely had that. You know, standing up in front of a class for the first time, and it's just such an enormity of the role and the responsibility, and you just think, I need an actual real teacher to be here. But you are the actual real teacher, and it's a real thing. But it's, as Nina said, just to realise that it's completely normal, and probably so many people have gone through it. Just to talk about it, and not make it into a bigger thing that it is, because it's completely normal.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, and that's the key thing that I took as well. The imposter phenomenon is very real when you're standing doing a job that you've never done before.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to feel like that.
Yeah.
Because
I felt like that doing this for the first time. When you said, I never forget it, Audrey said to me, and I was coming here on a voluntary basis, I don't know, just helping out generally, and you said, come camera ready. And I was like, what? What? And then there I was in front of a camera. So sitting there thinking, no, someone else should be doing this. Someone else should be doing this, and I should be making them tea.
You're fabulous.
And I still make the tea, but now I do this.
But you are fabulous and natural.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, obviously, I absolutely love it. But had you said, "Oh, this is what we're going to do," I probably would have no. But you just sprung it on me, and there I am. And it was partly Sarah's fault as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
our producer.
This is how we all
She's
work.
laughing.
This is how we all work. We throw each other in at the deep end and see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it is a real thing.
It is. So I think that's the thing to take away this week. If you are feeling like an imposter and you're doing a job for the first time, it's normal.
Yes.
It's a perfectly normal reaction to what is, and Ronnie always says this, to a relatively abnormal situation for you.
Absolutely.
Because you've not got used to it. But if you just stick with it and you keep an open mind, you stay curious, you stay learning, it will go away.
Exactly, and it does.
Yes. So on that, have a healthy week.